Hello, thank you for tuning in to this week's section of reads. This should be on YouTube channel James13 Wicca. I just want to make sure that's where you're seeing it. If you're not, I'm on YouTube, James13 Wicca. I'm going to put the decks and dice and stuff like that below. If you want a personal reading in person, I am in Herkimer, New York, or close to it, I should say, doing personal readings in Herkimer, New York. There's a store called Renewed and Rescued if you want to check it out. The hours they're open or the hours I can do that, just shoot me an email and I'll let you know if there's time available. Also, if you want a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. With all that said, let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. All of a sudden, like, my eye did that weird thing. Just when I turned on the camera. What do we have for Capricorn? Something unexpected came in. I don't think it's bad, but I feel like because it's really, really unexpected, it might be throwing you off. Alright, so for this reading, it's one of those, it's either happening or it's not. And, it's not bad, but it's kind of like, maybe we got to reassess what's really happening here. Capricorn's Earth, right? Planning is the name of the game. If something's too far out of standard, even if it's good, it's kind of like, yeah, but I have other things going on here. You know what I mean? I have other things going on. This may be good, but I'm not going to let it throw off everything else that's good. Thank you very much. Just because this is good coming at me doesn't mean I have room for it. Some stress here. Something's coming in. You've been pretty self-sufficient for a long time. Now, when I'm saying that, I feel like, well, obviously, but what I mean in the sense of whatever this subject is, you've had it defined, you've had it laid out, it's gone the way it's gone. Could be work, could be social life, could be a business venture you're doing, could be something you're helping somebody with, could be a project you're working out, could be a love situation. The Lover's card is coming in. For some of you, maybe you've been single for a while, or you're in a relationship that you're very comfortable with. Something is changing here, whatever it is. Because I'm like, what is happening here? I feel like this was not on the agenda. And it's not bad. Whatever it is, I'm like, this was not on the agenda. And, like, whatever it is kind of saying, hey, Capricorn, you have options. And it's kind of like, yeah, so. It's kind of like, whoa, 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 whoa. I didn't ask for options. Life is just pushing this right forward. Just because there's options doesn't mean you want them. But if this reading is hitting, it's kind of like assessing them and addressing them in your way. It seems like it's kind of like, even if you don't take these options, it may give you opportunity to advance or improve something else you already have. I know this may sound weird, but it's almost like, you know, I like baking analogies. It's kind of like making the same cake over and over and over again. And then maybe you use fondant. Maybe you've decided you like that. It's almost like realizing, wait a minute, all right, so I make cakes and I put fondant on them maybe sometimes, whatever. And then all of a sudden you got this crossover where somebody's like, hey, did you ever see polymer clay? Look at all the things you can do with polymer clay. And you're like, what does that have to do with anything? The ironic thing with polymer clay is there's certain crossovers, like how to blend cane, how to make colors come out, how to get certain patterns to come out, which ironically, in my opinion, I haven't applied it, but it looks like you could take some of the information from that subject, apply it to fondant, and then you can make some beautiful things happen. So it's kind of like saying, even if you don't take, like, oh, I'm not going to do polymer clay, for example, some of the things you learn from the processes that other people do, you're like, even though I'm not going to do that, I can see if I can apply that over here in something I do and use that to my benefit. So you might have that possibility here. But if they're like, if you slam that door real hard, like, I didn't ask you. Not that you're going to do that, but maybe. I don't know. Got a lot of Capricorns in my family. And they can be very pleasant, or they can be very to the point, I'll say, if they want to, if they feel necessary. But it's kind of like, the point is kind of like, assess what's going on here. And like, you don't have to take it, but you might be able to take some of that information and inspiration and apply it to something else and make more of something you already have. This coming in is very interesting because they're saying focus in the sense of like, it's not meant to destroy or ruin anything you have, but it could be an upgrade on your terms. On your terms, you have to decide how or if that will happen naturally. But if you're blocking the door, you'll never get that information, so you can do so, because something really beautiful is coming in. And you're very self-sufficient with it. And the Lovers and the Knight of Pentacles is kind of like, there's an opportunity here. I could marry into something. I could create something beautiful here, but I'm on my own, and I have to decide if I like that and where I will, if I do. Beauty comes in. Beauty is an interesting card. In most decks, it kind of talks about seeing your own beauty, seeing the beauty of a situation that maybe not everybody sees. Seeing beauty on your terms. So like there's generic beauty. I hope that doesn't sound bad, but you know what I mean? There's just like, oh yeah, that's beautiful. But there's also kind of like what you find beautiful about it. It's kind of like there's certain people that I've had other people say that person's not attractive, and I'm like, well, I think they are. And sometimes the reason I think somebody's attractive, which people have pointed out, is because of the personality behind a person. The more I get to know somebody, I'm like, yeah, that person's actually quite attractive, and other people don't see it. Vice versa. I don't know where I'm going here, but I will. There's people that everybody are like, or most people are like, oh wow, they're gorgeous, and I'm just like, well, get to know them, and maybe that'll change, because I've had people that are stereotypically very beautiful, but personality-wise, I'm like, they might look good, but, you know, that's kind of where it ends. I don't know why I'm going there with this, but there you go. It's about how you're relating to it. It's about what you see in it, not what other people see in it. I think you know this. I feel like you know this. And it's kind of like, even though it's kind of like, I don't know if I really like this with the Ten of Swords. I don't know if I really like this with the Ten of Swords. What is the word they put on there? Surrender? Well, I guess if you want, but it's one of the things I like about different decks. They have their own way of feeling about things. Which, take that, if that works for you, do what you gotta do. I'm kind of like looking at this in a different perspective. What is the situation offering you that you can do on your terms? Because it's kind of like, it just takes a little thought, almost like looking at what's there and just going, okay, this is here, that's what's being offered. It's not about taking what's offered. It's about seeing what's there and deciding for yourself, and maybe being able to apply it a different way. There's a lot of energy with this. I want to be like on point with like what you can do with it, and not like the problems of it, if that makes sense. Because the problems are going to be evident. I don't feel like, I'm not worried about problems in the sense of like, what am I going to do with this? I feel like you know what you're going to do with that part. It's more about the possibilities. And there's a lot you can do with this situation without doing it the way other people think you have to. They're like, no, this is for polymer clay. You can only do this with polymer clay. And you're like, no, I don't think so. I think you're wrong. And you don't even have to share what you're thinking or where you want to go. If you are like, I don't think you need to know that. I'm just going to see what I can make happen with it. There's energy for you to make small jumps forward within reason. So what's a small jump forward within reason? So I'm going to use that polymer clay and the fondant thing, right? It's almost kind of like, well, I have certain tools and things, and I just want to see if these things work. It's kind of like, you know, I have a cake I'm going to make. I just put two colors together. If they just don't blend right, I'll just blend them totally, and they'll just make a different color that I'm still acceptable. Like, it's kind of like saying, I'm going to try to blend this this darker orange and this white. I'm going to see if I can make a gradient happen with it. If it doesn't work, or it doesn't look right, or I don't like it, I'll just completely meld it together. It'll be just a lighter orange. Still works. I'm still happy. Nothing is ruined. And I learned. I took the process to learn through it. So it's like these small jumps forward to build confidence. Like, does this work? Does this make sense? So I'm using this analogy, but I feel like you know what I'm saying. It's kind of like, I'll try that. It's not going to ruin anything. It'll take some of my time, but at the very least, I'll learn what I need to learn from it. So my time well spent either way. It's about you. I kind of feel whiteout energy with this. This is interesting. You might bring this forward in your own way if you decide to. Whatever this situation is, I keep getting like a stripping down effect. Like, just stripping it right down. Like, bringing it right down to its bare bones and rebuilding it the way you want it to be built. I don't know if this analogy works for the reading we're doing right now, but like, for example, a friend of mine bought this house and it had a small garage on it, and they didn't really like the garage. It was kind of messed up a little bit, so they stripped it down, like took off the roof and the siding, but they left the main structure. And I feel like for whatever reason, the structure itself was okay, and then they rebuilt around it what was already there because they had assessed it and it was still a good structure. It didn't look right the way it was, and they were kind of thinking it was wonky. It turns out the things they put on it were not right, and there was some of it they had to deconstruct, but not a lot of it. Then they rebuilt it from the part that was correct, and it didn't look like anything like it used to. It was really beautiful when they were done. And I kind of get that they're saying, whatever this is, you get to strip it down to what you think is the bare bones of it, and then decide what can be rebuilt on your terms. You're not stuck with it either, but there's something to be said for this. This is also coming in with it. The Emperor coming in with that. It's kind of like you doing it your way. Which, it's kind of like, I think of Capricorn as people who put in honest effort, they get back honest effort. It's kind of like if somebody helps you, you help them. There's something about this with the Emperor card, kind of like, when you're stripping this down or looking at the bare bones, it's kind of like if you really want success with this, it's just got to be literally like, what do you want? So you might have like a family or friends or coworkers to consider in this situation, and they're saying that's a good way to handle things, and that makes sense why you would want to do that. But for the success of this one, at least allow yourself to just what do you want? Just not what would work for other people, but the thing is, I know you want to honor other people, and I respect that. Just let yourself at least think about, if you were just going to do it without consideration to other people, what you want, just what you want. Doesn't mean you have to do anything, obviously, but just rip it down. And what would you do if it was just like, ideally just for you, just the way it would work for you? Because you might be surprised. Presenting it in a way that works literally for you, best for you, might actually serve other people too. There's something about that, because I do feel like Capricorn honors those that honor Capricorn. If people have been honoring you, you're like, hey, they've been looking out for me. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to they give to me, I'm going to give back. They look out for me, I'm going to look out for them. And I'm going to try to make this mesh in a way that shows respect to the people who've been respectful to me. I feel like that's a very strong Capricorn trait. Again, a lot of Capricorns in my family. But for whatever reason with this situation, they're like, at least let yourself assess it as if you weren't taking that into consideration at first. And then maybe if you want these other energies involved with this situation, talk about what you ideally want and see what they think. You might be surprised. They might line up with that ideal more than you trying to help people out. If you just tell them what you want, they might have something else there that's kind of like, hey, that works best for me. Actually, if you're going to do it that way, I would love that, and this is why. You may be surprised. Okay, this is the not working side. These are very interesting cards. Don't put too much effort into it. That seems weird. Be careful about putting too much effort into this. This is an evolving situation. There's more to learn here. There's more opportunity to be gained. I was going to say garnered, but I don't like that for some reason. Because I don't feel like you're trying to dig it up. I feel like it's something, things are coming your way. And I feel like they're trying to say, if you go this direction, you're going to miss on something because the situation is still evolving. There's more to come out of this. And it's kind of like, oh, all right. It's like, if I go into this the first way, it's kind of like, oh, this is more information. All right, I considered it. This is what I want to do with it. That's what we're going to do. It makes sense, but they're saying, wait. Just so you know, and you make your decision the way you need to. It's kind of like, no, it's still evolving. You got more possibilities here. Let the information keep coming your way. Let it keep evolving. And they're saying kind of like, look at the situation in the sense of like wonderment. Like wondering what else it can do. It's almost like, let yourself learn a little bit more. If the first piece makes sense and the first piece is like, I can use this. This is applicable. Before you apply it into something, give it a chance to grow a little bit more. Maybe it's kind of like, all right, I heard this from a person that likes polymer clay. They told me this information, and I'm like, okay, I can use some of this. And maybe you're like, well, the person that told me, maybe you're not a big fan of them. For whatever reason, doesn't have to be negative. You're just not a big fan. There's a lot of good people out there that, we just all don't mesh with. It's fine. But just because one person brought it forward doesn't mean you can't find somebody else who also is in that arena. Somebody else who likes polymer clay, for example. Oh, let me see, or let me go online, or let me watch some of these tutorials, or maybe this person, or whatever. Find a different way into that situation. Find a different way to find the information you want. If you don't like where it came from, and there's something about that you're like, that's not really my flavor. I really, Godspeed to them, good luck, all that fun stuff. But they're not my flavor. I don't really want to deal with them that much. That's cool. What other places can you get the information from? Keep that in mind. Because there's more to come out of this. There's more things you can build from this. There's more things that, like, the more you know, you can make some great things happen. Why did I get that energy? Usually when I get the hiccups or something, it's kind of talking about stress of some sort. The mystery. Because a question comes in, well, how long do I need to do that for? I don't know. They're saying, there's a bigger goal here. There's a bigger realization here. How do they get over here? How does Capricorn get over here? Working with somebody else? Working with somebody else. All that comes in together then with this. Okay. I think I understand this. There's somebody else who can help you. You'll discover them when you need to discover them. All this kind of comes in together. Kind of like, I have ideas and I'm thinking maybe I'll apply it this way, maybe I'll apply it that way, and I keep learning more and I keep learning more. There's some energy here that you link up with that's going to want your help. It reminds me of like a person, they've crossed over now, but they were very good with woodworking. And I remember they were teaching it to themselves. I don't think they knew very much to begin with, but they taught themselves a lot of stuff. And then they started working with somebody. I don't know how that worked out. I don't know if they were helping each other with projects or if there was money involved. I don't really know. But I remember they worked with somebody that was like, that's what they did for a living, I think, or something like that. I don't know the details too deeply. But they advanced their knowledge. They advanced how they did things. They advanced a lot. Like, it advanced so much to not only like how to do it, but then they got like the experience of like, oh, okay, I understood that was how you're supposed to do it. But then when I did it myself, I saw, well, okay, there's these little ways to do it, little tricks of the trade that make it more effective and easier to actually make it work and gets it to last longer. So I feel like, I don't remember the conversation fully, but I remember them telling me stuff like, well, the way they teach you to do it lasts like 5 years. The way this other person taught me is like, depends. How long do you expect it to stay there? How long do you want it to stay there? You have different options. This type of situation will last less time. This will last the time they're telling you. If you use this, it could last a lot longer. What actually do you want from the situation? Do you want it to move later, or do you want it to never move? What do you want? And they learned a lot of those tricks of the trade, like, what is your long-term goal? What do you want from it? There's an opportunity coming in where somebody, I feel like somebody could mentor you, where you help them, they help you, which will bring a lot of power, a lot of advantage to you that I feel like most people won't have. It's something that brings a lot of power to you, that gives you this advantage that all I can say is most people won't have, and can give you that, you know, extra little oomph to get what you actually want, but beyond that, kind of like, well, this is definitely what I wanted. I just didn't realize I could actually attain it. It's one of those things. It's kind of like saying, you know, I wanted to be able to sing, and I wanted to be able to, you know, have people buy my music, but I never knew I could be like an international star. I never thought that was obtainable for me, and now thanks to this energy, I have attained it. And then the energy's just kind of there. So I think we're done. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.